Think only, what are my children to be? Ill-fated children, who will have to bear a stranger's name. For the very fact of their birth they will be forced to be ashamed of their mother, their father, their birth. But that is just why a divorce is necessary. But Anna did not hear her. She longed to give utterance to all the arguments with which she had so many times convinced herself. What is reason given me for, if I am not to use it to avoid bringing unhappy beings into the world? She looked at Dolly, but without waiting for a reply she went on. I should always feel I had wronged these unhappy children, she said. If they are not, at any rate they are not unhappy, while if they are unhappy, I alone should be to blame for it. These were the very arguments Darya Alexandrovna had used in her own reflections, but she heard them without understanding them. How can one wrong creatures that don't exist? She thought. And all at once the idea struck her, could it possibly, under any circumstances, have been better for her favorite Grisha if he had never existed? And this seemed to her so wild, so strange, that she shook her head to drive away this tangle of whirling, mad ideas. No, I don't know, it's not right, was all she said, with an expression of disgust on her face. Yes, but you mustn't forget that you and I. And besides that, added Anna, in spite of the wealth of her arguments and the poverty of Dolly's objections, seeming still to admit that it was not right, don't forget the chief point, that I am not now in the same position as you. For you the question is, do you desire not to have any more children, while for me it is, do I desire to have them? And that's a great difference. You must see that I can't desire it in my position. Darya Alexandrovna made no reply. She suddenly felt that she had got far away from Anna, that there lay between them a barrier of questions on which they could never agree, and about which it was better not to speak. Chapter 24. Then there is all the more reason for you to legalize your position, if possible, said Dolly. Yes, if possible, said Anna, speaking all at once in an utterly different tone, subdued and mournful. Surely you don't mean a divorce is impossible? I was told your husband had consented to it. Dolly, I don't want to talk about that. Oh, we won't then, Darya Alexandrovna hastened to say, noticing the expression of suffering on Anna's face. All I see is that you take too gloomy a view of things. Not at all. I'm always bright and happy. You see, _J Fe de Passions. Veslovsky. Yes, to tell the truth, I don't like Veslovsky's tone, said Darya Alexandrovna, anxious to change the subject. Oh, that's nonsense. It amuses Alexei, and that's all, but he's a boy, and quite under my control. You know, I turn him as I please. It's just as it might be with your Grisha. Dolly, she suddenly changed the subject. You say I take too gloomy a view of things. You can't understand. It's too awful. I try not to take any view of it at all. But I think you ought to. You ought to do all you can. But what can I do? Nothing. You tell me to marry Alexei, and say I don't think about it. I don't think about it, she repeated, and a flush rose into her face. She got up, straightening her chest, and sighed heavily. With her light step she began pacing up and down the room, stopping now and then. I don't think of it? Not a day, not an hour passes that I don't think of it, and blame myself for thinking of it because thinking of that may drive me mad. Drive me mad, she repeated. When I think of it, I can't sleep without morphine. But never mind. Let us talk quietly. They tell me, divorce. In the first place, he won't give me a divorce. He's under the influence of Countess Lydia Ivanovna now. Darya Alexandrovna, sitting erect on a chair, turned her head, following Anna with a face of sympathetic suffering. You ought to make the attempt, she said softly. Suppose I make the attempt. What does it mean? She said, evidently giving utterance to a thought, 1,000 times thought over and learned by heart. It means that I, hating him, but still recognizing that I have wronged him and I consider him magnanimous, that I humiliate myself to write to him. Well, suppose I make the effort, I do it. Either I receive a humiliating refusal or consent.